Productions is proud to present your new favorite podcast, Hits Home Jackson, with your host, John Wilson.
Thank you for joining in for the second episode of Hits Home Jackson with John Wilson. Hits Home Jackson will strive to keep the responsible, hardworking, law-abiding, and retired citizens informed on the important issues that our Jackson City Council and our Jackson County Board of Commissioners faces daily. While the local media mostly accentuates the positive when they are reporting on local government issues, Hits Home Jackson will always accentuate on the reality. I'm your host, John Wilson, and we are again lucky to be joined by my co-host, Mr. Kevin. Hello, Kevin.
Hey, John, how you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Excellent.
Thank you, sir.
Good to hear.
Thank you. Today, Kevin, we're going to zero in on a couple issues.
Awesome.
Okay, and the first issue we're going to discuss will be the Jackson County Chamber of Commerce 20-year strategic plan vision. Okay, and the second issue is an issue that never seems to go away, and that, unfortunately, will be our neighborhood streets and the conditions of our neighborhood streets.
They're only getting worse.
Right. Yes, they are.
You're good.
Okay. So anyways, yes, we will.
Go ahead. You're fine.
Okay. Yep.
I'm working on you.
All right. Thanks. I just don't hear myself anymore. But.
Yeah. I'm working on it. I don't know why that one. I'm working on you. All right, let's turn you up. Go ahead.
Okay.
Check.
So anyways, Kevin, we're going to discuss first the Jackson County Board of Commissioners.
Oh, there you are. All right, there we go.
We go.
There we
Okay.
go.
Again,
Hey,
okay.
sorry about that.
So we're going
Yeah.
we're going to discuss two issues today. Both being local, of course. That's our show. And the first issue will be the Jackson County Chamber of Commerce 20-year strategic plan vision.
Okay.
And the second issue, unfortunately, which never goes away, hopefully someday it will be the condition of our city neighborhood streets.
Yeah, and they're. I mean, me and my dad talked about it. The highways aren't bad. They've done a great job of those around, but as soon as you get off the highway, even the new roads are messed up. Cooper and all of them, they're all so bad.
Right. Well, there's different funding conduits, and we'll get to it when we discuss the streets. But
Yes.
There's different funding conduits. Like you said, the highways are being worked on. Well, that's all part of federal funding.
Yeah.
Federal, state, and a little bit of local funding. And, of course, the major streets here in the city of Jackson and elsewhere throughout the county, those are funded also, some by the federal government and state.
Right.
But our local streets, that's all funded locally.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyways, we'll touch on that in a few minutes. But let's go back to the Jackson County Chamber of Commerce 20-year strategic plan vision.
All right.
Last Tuesday on April 15th, which was also National Tax Day,
Oh yeah.
our Jackson County Board of Commissioners voted 5-4
Okay.
to provide the Jackson County Chamber of Commerce $50,000.
Oh, is that all?
Just you would think, just with a $50 million general fund budget, that $50,000 doesn't sound like much, but $50,000.
I mean, $50,000 is a lot of money.
$50,000 is a lot of money, even with government. It's a lot of money. So, anyways, the 9-member Board of Commissioners voted 5-4
Okay.
to fund this chamber 20-year strategic plan.
Okay.
Now, while some may think that's a wonderful idea, why is it that we need, number one, the chamber doing this plan, whereas before it was the county who did 5-year strategic planning? So now we've jumped from 5-year away from the county to the Jackson County Chamber of Commerce and a 20-year strategic plan vision.
Okay.
So you think of it, 20 years, that's 2045. That's a long
time, a couple decades.
That's a long way out. But again, I'm okay with a strategic plan
Right.
being in place, but if it's done by the chamber, then the chamber should pay for it themselves.
I agree.
Okay? Rather than going to the county and asking for $50,000.
Right.
And again, we had 5 of the commissioners who voted to give them that $50,000.
Yeah, so it was a pretty tight vote then. I mean,
It was a pretty tight vote. We had 4 of our commissioners. Thankfully, they're more of the fiscal conservatives out of the 9-member board. And now again, the Jackson County Commission is partisan.
Right.
You have Republicans, you have Democrats, unlike the Jackson City Council, which is nonpartisan.
Yeah, supposedly.
Right. But anyways, we had the 5 commissioners who voted to spend this $50,000. Commissioner Shotwell, Commissioner Pileski, Commissioner Snell, Commissioner Williams, and Commissioner Willis.
Okay.
All voted to spend $50,000. We had the 4 commissioners, our fiscal conservatives, who I consider our fiscal conservatives, and I'm thankful that they're on the board. It's just unfortunate that they don't have 5 or 6 of them rather than just the 4. And that is Commissioner Waltz, Commissioner Baird, Commissioner Duckham, and Commissioner Kennedy.
Yeah.
Those are our fiscal hawks.
Yeah.
And we should all be thankful for them.
Yeah, well, we had Corey on, Commissioner Kennedy on the Sticks of the Plan podcast talking about budgets one time. This was probably a year ago. And, he knows his way around a budget.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. And, again, we should all be thankful that we have Commissioner Kennedy and the other 3.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, sir. And I'm thankful we have all 9 commissioners. Okay, they've got their work cut out for them.
Yeah.
It's just unfortunate that 5 of them decided to spend this $50,000. And if you think back, Kevin, it was just a few months ago that they were cutting the budget from the sheriff's department.
Yeah, the sheriff.
We talked about that before. Yeah. And what could that $50,000 buy? That could buy some road patrol.
Well, that's probably, that's at least a year's salary, I'd assume, for a entry level road patrolman.
Right. Yeah.
I'd guess.
And the sheriff had to cut out road patrol as a result of the budget situation, and now they're turning around and spending $50,000 for a 20-year strategic vision.
Yeah. And I mean, have they outlined what the vision is? I mean, I don't want to jump ahead on you, but
no,
it's just a we'll see.
The chamber then, now it's still being worked on by the chamber.
Okay.
But they've come up with a new committee called Drive Jackson.
Okay.
All right. It's all part of the chamber.
Uh-huh.
But anyways, that gives kind of a breakdown on what they want to do with this study, with this plan, with this vision.
Right.
And who did they hire to coordinate this vision?
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. They hired a firm out of Columbus, Ohio.
Okay.
To do this 20-year strategic plan study.
Oh.
Columbus, Ohio.
Have you ever been to Columbus? That place is a poop hole.
I stay out of Columbus, Ohio.
I stay out of Ohio.
Right. But anyways, yes. So we're taking $50,000 of county money and giving it to some consulting firm out of Columbus, Ohio. And what do they know about Jackson?
What do I know about Jackson? I ask myself, but I mean, someone from you said
Columbus. Columbus.
Hey, no Buckeyes up here.
Know it.
We don't do that here.
Right. So regardless, keep it. If you're going to spend $50,000 from the county taxpayers, keep it in house. Keep it local.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that there's got to be one of those groups that does that in Michigan somewhere.
Yes.
I mean.
Or
Detroit, Lansing, maybe even Grand Rapids, hell.
Or this
Toledo might even be acceptable.
Or this committee that they put together, this Drive Jackson, they should know enough about Jackson with what Jackson needs.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, again, on April 15th, that was the vote to give the the chamber this $50,000 so they can then turn around and give it to this Columbus, Ohio consulting firm. And so the name of this consulting firm is Planning Next. That's the name of this consulting firm.
Okay.
Planning Next. It's next is all caps.
Oh. Okay.
So, anyways, I'm not sure again what the ulterior motive may have been to give this consulting firm the $50,000.
Someone's put it in their pocket.
Well, yeah, it's going in probably a few pockets.
Right.
But anyways, it should stay in the pockets of our residents and taxpayers right here of Jackson County.
I agree.
Now,
It's coming out of our pocket.
right.
So
What is this plan going to involve? What is this strategic plan going to involve?
yes.
Well, apparently, the Chamber of Commerce would like us to be like a town out of Minnesota. And this town is called Mankota, Minnesota.
Okay.
I may be pronouncing it incorrectly, but Mankota, Minnesota.
Okay.
That, if you get some time,
I'm
go to the Chamber website, and they have
now.
a video, and it's a very nicely put together video that I'm not sure who may have done it. Maybe this consulting firm did it.
I'm sure.
But it's a very nice video on giving all the attributes of Jackson County. So I'm just kind of wondering, with all our attributes here in Jackson County, why is it that we need a 20-year strategic plan? We know what we need. We know what we need here in Jackson County.
Exactly.
And again, a 20-year plan. Let's keep it at 5 years, number one. If I was on this committee, I would have to say, okay, this is what Jackson needs
Right.
in order to attract future residents, businesses. We need
Industry.
we need a lower crime rate in the city,
Oh, of course.
a lower violent crime rate in the city, a much lower violent crime rate in the city. We need better streets and roads,
Oh, absolutely.
not only in the city but throughout Jackson County. We need good schools, good public schools throughout the county.
Yep.
And that's a driver. And what else for a good quality of life? Parks and recreation.
I noticed that I think that our parks, I don't know if they were misplanned or what, but I think they're underutilized. I mean, there are a lot of parks, and 90% of them you drive by, they're empty.
That's right.
Because of the other things that you spoke of, the violent crime rates, this and that.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that makes sense, but yeah, most of them are pretty empty.
Right, but Jackson does have nice parks.
Beautiful parks.
City parks and the county parks. But like you said, they're not all fully utilized. But during the summertime, spring, summer, fall, they're quite busy, and I'm glad we have them. I'm all for the parks.
Oh yeah, no,
I'm a
love
big parks advocate. Always have been.
Yeah.
And of course, we're paying a special millage on the parks for
Of
the
course.
Jackson County parks, and the money's being pretty much well spent.
Yeah.
And
I agree. The parks have always, I don't think that they've misappropriated funds at all in that case. Like I said, I don't know why. Maybe they're just placed in the wrong locations.
Right.
But,
right.
I mean, there are some beautiful parks in this county.
Sure. And how many counties can say they have an Ellis Sharp Park or a Cascades Park?
Exactly. Well, because, if I'm not mistaken, I guess it doesn't really matter, but isn't Ellis Sharp is county and Cascades is city, or
Nope,
vice versa?
Vice versa.
Vice versa. I always get that mixed up because when I was doing the circus thing and breathing fire and busking, I was allowed to do it at Ellis Sharp, but I wasn't allowed to do it at Cascades because of certain busking laws.
Okay.
So that's what I always think of.
That's interesting.
Yeah. It was, I made a lot of money. Hot Air Jubilee one year because they wouldn't book me, but since it was a county park or a city park or whatever, I was allowed to just set up and perform wherever I wanted. So I found a corner spot and made a couple $100.
Wow.
Yeah, they changed the rules after that.
Okay. All right. Well, that's too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure you drew a crowd.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I actually have a picture somewhere of a 500-pound man standing on me.
And I'm sure after, they didn't allow you back, some of those who went to the following year to the Hot Air Jubilee, we're probably looking for you.
2 years later, actually, they offered to book me officially for the Jubilee, and I was like, no, you guys burnt your bridge there. Sorry about it. Plus, I was kind of half retired from it anyway.
Okay. Now, going back to this Drive Jackson, this chamber strategic plan.
Yes.
I didn't mention also that the city of Jackson is a funder also with this. Now, I reached out to a couple city council members asking them how much the city has allocated to the chamber for this plan, for the strategic plan, and they didn't know. And,
of course not.
And they haven't gotten back
Why
with
do you ask
me.
silly questions, dude?
Right. So anyways, and I don't recall it being on an agenda.
Yeah.
As an agenda item, $50,000 to give to the chamber. I could be wrong, but I don't recall it ever being on an agenda.
Like it got snuck in
for
somewhere.
This. Sure. Unlike the county, they had it on their agenda last week. But anyways, so I'm just going to assume that the city, they like to waste money, like these 5 commissioners like to waste money who voted for this. So I'm going to assume that the city probably allocated $50,000 also to go towards this strategic plan study vision, 20-year vision. So
that's weird.
Let's touch on what their end result would like to be, and that's number 1, population growth.
Of course.
Apparently, Jackson County has a negative population growth.
Oh yeah.
Of negative 0.002%. Where these growth communities, and they're giving examples of these other growth communities that Jackson needs to be more like.
Yeah.
I'm not sure of that, but that's what's in here.
That's what the professional said.
Yes, that's why they get paid the big bucks, right? So anyways,
where's my $50,000?
The population growth of these growth communities apparently is 10.25%. That's a biggie. 10.25%.
That's a huge.
I would like to see the data on that.
Yeah, I want to know if they're sanctuary cities.
Yes,
that's a whole different topic.
So here's the success stories according to Drive Jackson / Chamber.
Right.
The success stories of these different counties, cities. We have Hall County, Georgia.
Oh, okay.
Pennington County, South Dakota.
Thriving metropolises.
Blue Earth, Minnesota. Elkhart County, Indiana.
Okay, we're getting closer.
I'm familiar with Elkhart.
Yeah, I've heard of Elkhart before. So.
And Grand Rapids, Michigan. Yes, and let's not forget what the chamber included on their video, and that's Mancota, Minnesota.
Yeah, I looked that up. It was Mancota, Mancota.
Mank.
K. Okay, that's why I couldn't find it. Because it came up a different town, but it was close. Actually, the other town looked a lot like Jackson for a second, but
well, apparently this town in Minnesota is similar to Jackson.
Okay, probably population and
right.
Blah, blah, blah.
I believe their population is 47,000. Now I don't know if that's
Blue Earth County, Minnesota.
Well, that's another one, Blue Earth.
Well, it's in Mancota is in Blue Earth County.
Okay, good. Thanks.
Yep. I'm just looking it up.
Right.
They have a giant river through the middle of their city.
Yeah, I saw that.
That doesn't make any sense.
Well, we have a river too, the Grand River.
Yeah, not that big.
And it doesn't flow much either.
No, well, we keep trying to make it work. But I mean, we do have 94 and 127, aka 75. Well, going right through our town. Why aren't we capitalizing on that?
We are the crossroads.
Yeah,
we are the crossroads.
Yeah,
I call it the Midwest.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, everything comes through or near here.
Right.
Toledo a little bit more than us, but that's just because they're a little further south.
Yeah, we have everything. We have everything right here.
Yeah.
We don't need to spend. I'm just guessing again, $100,000, both from the county and city, to again give us this 20-year strategic plan on what we need to do. We have the land, we have the highways.
Yeah.
Let's just let's lower that violent crime rate. Let's fix our streets and roads. We have a good public school system here in the county. And of course, we have fantastic parks and recreation programs.
I agree.
So-
I mean, I think the biggest thing is something happened, and just growing up with my grandmother, she talked about the heyday of Jackson. She was born in 1933, so she's seen a lot of it. But we need more industry. We need more jobs in this town to include populations. So
a few more graphs. That's included.
more graphs. Oh no, that's what we paid for.
That's that's included with this strategic plan is BA attainment. Now, I would have to assume the BA is Bachelor of Arts attainment. Strong educational attainment creates a strong economy.
Well, yeah.
Okay. But anyways, they have the national at just under 40%. Michigan, and this is BA attainment, which again
Yeah.
I'm going to assume it's Bachelor of Arts degree
Yeah.
attainment, 4-year degree. Michigan, the state, is just at 20%, and Jackson County is at 10%. Now again, these are the numbers that
Okay.
the chamber came up with.
Okay.
So, of course, what are they trying to say here? Well, apparently we need more college educated.
Apparently, we're dumb people.
We're dumb people.
Well, we're also a town that there's a ton of technical, type people that electricians and plumbers, blue collar, those don't
trades.
count.
The
Yeah, the trades.
trades.
That's the word I was looking for. Yes.
And if I was a few decades younger, I would certainly have considered the trades.
I can seriously considered it myself, and
Right.
I've never been that guy, but I just
Mhm.
knew that there.
Right. I would have to learn many skills because I'm just not that hands-on
Me
guy
neither.
myself.
Me neither.
But anyways, the trades, and it's unfortunate, and we hear about 10, maybe 15 years ago, Jackson County came up with this big plan of increasing the amount of college-educated citizens in the county. Well, that's kind of taken a back seat now because they do know now that the trades
Yeah.
matter almost just as much, if not even more, than attaining a 4-year degree.
Absolutely, I completely agree. I have a friend of mine who he was never great in school. He was always more of a trades person, and he went and he's with the electrical union. And of all of my friends from school, probably everyone I graduated from high school, he's doing the best.
Sure.
He owns his own business. He's doing very well. He owns a home.
Mhm.
Most people my age, it's only a dream to own a home. So,
Yeah.
and he never. He spent a lot of time going to school with the electrical training, but he doesn't have a 4-year degree.
No, and unfortunately, there's nothing about the trades in this Drive Jackson
Oh,
study here.
okay.
We got the crime rate. Jackson, Michigan, the city, we have a very, very high violent crime rate.
Right.
And if I can read this correctly, those numbers are so small, but 30 out of every 1,000, about 35.
Let me
See if you can
Let me
read
see.
that
Maybe I
down
can.
there.
The crime. Wow.
Or is it in the 70s per 1,000 per capita?
It looks like crimes per 1,000 people were at like 13 on the graph. Am I reading that correctly?
It's so small, those numbers. Maybe that's purposely
Yeah, because
done.
it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and we're
Okay.
just short of 12.
Okay.
So that's at 11 out of 1,000
per capita.
violent crime.
Okay. Yep, that sounds.
I
That
was
sounds.
just looking. It's funny. I was just looking up
Right.
that town in Minnesota, and they're 220 out of 100,000 people. So Mankato, Minnesota's crime rate is higher than ours.
Is it?
Yeah, well, 244 out of 100,000. That's out of 1,000. So what?
Out of
10%. So
how many 100,000 did you say?
220.44 per 100,000 people.
Okay.
Where we're at, so if you actually compare that to 1,000, that's 10%. So they have 22 people per 1,000 people. We have 11. They have double the crime rate. Why do we want to be like them? Goddamn Minnesota.
Okay. Well.
Anyways,
I bet this consulting firm out of Planning Next out of Columbus, Ohio, probably did their studies also. So.
Yeah, I'm just reading off of Google.
Right. Now, of course, they mention here that there is a direct correlation between a county's growth rate and the urban core crime rate.
Of course.
Jackson's crime rate is significantly higher than those of comparable growth communities. That's a given.
Oh, yeah.
We need to bring our violent crime rate down.
I can't argue that one bit.
I don't need a consultant to tell me that.
Hey, City, I would have done that for $50. I could have told you that.
Right.
Not even 50,000, 50, 50.
Now, another little stat that they have here is housing. Affordable, high-quality housing makes a community a magnet for various types of businesses and skilled workers the skilled workers.
Oh, they did bring it up.
Skilled workers looking for somewhere to settle down. Apparently, our housing cost in Jackson County, on average, our median home sales price is $198,500. Where the growth communities, those communities that I'd mentioned earlier,
right,
their median home sales price is $330,225.
Oh.
So do we want to be more like them? That would be some pretty expensive median home prices.
Yeah, and like I said, it's already a kind of a pipe dream for my generation to own a home. Let's just crank the prices up.
Well, I don't know if this $198,000 has anything to do with the city's 100 Homes project. Because those homes are $170,000,
well,
$180,000
for the county.
This is countywide.
This is countywide. Okay.
This is countywide. So apparently the median home sales price in Jackson County is $198,500.
Okay.
Where the growth communities, again, Kevin, are $330,225.
Okay.
That's a big difference there.
Yeah, a little bit.
So I don't think we want it to be that high. That's for
sure.
No,
we got to find the happy medium, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Right. So again, do we need to pay a consultant to tell us this? Then they got K through 12, of course, reading, math scores, and that's pretty much a given. Okay, the quality of life, though, this is how they came up with this score, I'm not sure of. But through its network of trails, museums, and lakes, Jackson County is equipped for an exceptional quality of life. That's true. In terms of community satisfaction, Jackson ranks close to comparable growth communities, showing that with the right strategic vision, Jackson can further evolve into a great place to live, work, and play. So our community satisfaction score is Jackson County, 3.67%, Elkhart County, 3.85%. Now, I'm not sure, is that out of what? Every 1,000 residents? Or?
It depends how many. I mean, what did they ask? 10 people? Or did they ask 100,000 people?
It doesn't show.
Yeah, of course not.
No, that's not getting our money's worth right there.
Well, I think it's a very generic study that they pulled together here, and they're like, oh, yeah, so we did this study that says you need to be smarter and you need to be less violent, and you'll be a good well, I'm like, yeah, we've been yelling about that for 20 years.
So there's lots of talk that our nation's population growth is stagnant.
Right.
Jackson's population growth apparently is in the negative.
Yeah, it's been going down a long time, though.
It's been going down. That's Jackson County as a whole. We know the city's gone down.
Yeah.
And, what's our population now? Just about 30,000 in the city, 30,000.
I think so.
Where we once had a population of just over 50,000.
Right.
So we're at 30,000 now. But anyways, and of course most everyone would like to see population growth. Well, we all would like to see population growth as long as they're
what I'm wondering too is
productive members of society.
Exactly. Well, yeah, that absolutely. And then what I'm wondering is, I bet you that our citizen satisfaction score goes down with an increase in population.
Well, with an increase in population, you have a lot of
yeah. I mean, I'm assuming a lot of things will go way up, but that satisfaction score will go down. Oh, I have to wait in line forever at the grocery store, or I'm always in traffic. Mm-hmm. You kind of got to weigh it out.
Weigh it out.
Yeah. You have to weigh it out.
How big do we want to be? Do we want to be as big as Elkhart, Indiana? Grand Rapids?
I don't think I'm trying to remember the last time I was in Elkhart, Indiana, or if ever.
Mm-hmm.
Now I was in Grand Rapids 2 weeks ago. A beautiful city.
Right.
I wouldn't live there for $1 million, but $1 million maybe.
It might take $1 million.
It might take when you have to move. Jeez.
Okay. Back in 2023, the state did a study also. They put together a committee of movers and shakers to see where the state needs to go.
Yeah.
Okay, in a few years. This committee was called Growing Michigan Together, and what it was a comprehensive population growth forecast to outline growth-oriented strategies to reverse population trends. The focus was to grow the state's population and economy. There it is right there. The state already did this for us. Other cities and towns and counties have already done their strategic plans. Let's just take bits and pieces of theirs and apply it here to Jackson County. Rather than spend all the money that we're spending, $100,000 between the city and the county,
right,
to hire this consulting firm out of Columbus, Ohio,
which is going to tell us to do the same thing we're talking about.
Right.
I mean, they're just a consulting firm. They're not going to do anything about it. They're just going to tell you what you have to do. I have a new business idea. We're just going to go around and tell cities what to do and get money.
What we'll get for this, I'm sure, is a very, very nice, beautiful brochure.
Yes.
And video.
With lots of graphs.
With lots of graphs, and that'll be spread out all over the United States for those to know how wonderful Jackson County, I guess, can be in 20 years.
I think the big deal, too, is in Michigan, I didn't know about that plan they had, but, I mean, they should always, excuse me, because if Michigan's more, better looking to other people than Jackson, will as well. Until the state kind of gets their crap together, then it's going to be a lot harder, I think, for us to market Jackson as not an armpit. Right. Because as of right now, no one's coming to Michigan. I have my opinions why, but right now, industry isn't there. Government is questionable most of the time. Mm-hmm. At least they haven't messed with our gun rights, but yeah. But yeah, I think for the county to grow, the state's got to grow, and I don't see it working from the state end, so I don't see it trickling down. No, we need lots of help. That's what I'm saying.
We need lots of help, and we can only help ourselves.
Oh, absolutely.
Again, we don't need a stranger to come into Jackson County and tell us what's best for the citizens of Jackson County.
Yeah.
We know more than they know.
Absolutely.
And we're here for a reason. We like it here. We like it here. And for the most part, I don't like everything about the city of Jackson.
No, but does anybody like everything about
it doesn't matter where
city?
You're at. It doesn't matter where you're at.
Absolutely.
All right, Kevin. Well, we'll put that to bed.
Yeah.
Okay, and we'll touch on this again. We'll see how this evolves.
I'm sure we will. Real quick before we move on, this is something me and my dad talked about Grand Rapids, and they're they are a growing area. My grandma talks about how those were always just poor, almost Amish potato farmers forever, and now it's become very nice. But that's because Grand Rapids has a handful of billionaires.
Yes.
Jackson has no billionaires.
No.
We have some very wealthy people, but not billionaires.
Right.
That's a whole different ballgame.
You have the DeVos.
The DeVosses,
you have the
Meyer, and there was another family. It was all DeVos.
The other family was involved with DeVos.
Yeah, exactly. Amway and all them. Mm-hmm. Yep. So we don't have that in Jackson. I'm sure at one point we probably had equivalent to what would be a billionaire. When Goodyear was here, Clark Equipment was here, things like that. Mm-hmm. But we don't.
Right.
And so that private money being invested into the city or the county isn't there anymore.
No. Although the city of Grand Rapids is building the
Glicks. That's the closest ones we thought about in Jackson, and they're not. Elrose Steel's worth that, but not the Glicks as a whole.
Yep, I wouldn't know.
We looked it up one day. It's the only reason I know anything about it.
but the city of Grand Rapids is currently under construction, an amphitheater right downtown Grand Rapids.
Okay.
And you know what they did to help pay for this new amphitheater?
What did they do?
They have a hotel tax in Kent County.
Okay.
And they increased it, I'm not sure by how much, but they increased it enough. Then they're getting some state funding. They have local funding, and I'm sure they have some private funding also for this amphitheater. But anyways, they are building this amphitheater, and most of it's being built from this hotel tax.
Okay. Yeah.
And
that's what that kind of thing is for.
It is. Did you know we have a hotel tax here in Jackson?
No idea.
Jackson County?
I mean, I assume, but I know most of the hotels aren't used as hotels.
You're right. They seem to evolve into homeless shelters and drug dens and
I mean,
crime dens.
I mean, I won't lie. I was in a situation where I lived in a motel for way longer than I wanted to, but it was just because, actually because of a housing issue. It was almost impossible to find housing in this town. Luckily, I kept my nose to the grindstone, made it work.
Right.
Kept myself at the motel, and actually they just had a shooting there. So I'm glad that I got the hell out of there. So
yeah, it's really unfortunate, but then again, where are we at? We're at the crossroads of 127 and I-94.
Exactly.
So we have plenty of hotel rooms out there.
Well, I mean,
I'm not going to advocate for a hotel tax be increased, but even though I did bring that up a couple years ago,
can't hurt.
We couldn't hurt at all.
I mean,
help us out.
If it helps out the county, I would have no problem paying it. I mean, how often do I stay in a hotel on my own?
You're not paying it.
I know, but I'm saying if I was to stay, I mean, I'd pay.
Right.
Pay.
How often do you look at the hotel tax when you do go out of town and stay at a hotel?
I don't.
Right.
How much is it going to cost me? Exactly.
Wow. How do you like that?
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. I'm proud of that one.
So let's move on to the city issue that we spoke on briefly before, and that again, unfortunately, is the sad, deplorable, inexcusable conditions of many, if not most, of our neighborhood streets.
Yes.
And these are neighborhood streets, which would be categorized as local streets.
Right.
A whole different funding conduit than a major street or a highway.
Yeah, secondary streets and so on, county roads versus city roads, and it's a lot.
It's not the fault of the homeowners.
No,
it's not the fault of the homeowners that the street is in the condition that it is. It's certainly not the fault of our city workers who work on the streets.
Right.
It's not their fault. They only work on what they're directed.
Yeah, they're told and
what they're told to work on.
Good little soldiers.
Right. They're a good bunch. And again, it's not their fault either. Whose fault is it? It's our city officials, past and present.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's not right now all the time. It's years of neglect.
It's their failure to properly maintain and repair our city neighborhood streets.
Yeah, they do their job.
Now
kind of their job.
Now they're in such unbelievably
so bad,
terrible condition. I really feel bad for the people that have to drive on them every day.
Yeah, I fell victim to a pothole this last weekend.
Yeah.
Just didn't see it.
I can avoid the streets, and I know which streets to avoid. And those aren't just neighborhood streets, of course. These are also major streets within the city. And I know what streets to drive on. And again, most of us, yourself included, myself, our viewers, we avoid the worst of the worst streets.
I wish I could. Unfortunately, I'm up and down East Washington pretty regularly. It's really the only way in and out from both where I work, heading to my grandma's house from my house. But that road is top 5. It's got to be top 3, probably worse. I mean, and now I drive it all the time, so I'm a little biased, but it's bad.
Yeah,
it's bad.
Right.
It's big holes.
Yeah. So what do we do? What do we do? I mean, at this point, they're in such bad condition, and I brought this up during a couple of my campaigns, whether it was for the county, city, or when I ran for mayor. We need short to medium term solutions.
Yeah,
and that could be just by helping these homeowners, the residents of these streets, a simple mill and pave. Now, mill and pave is where they bring in a machine and they dig up, they chop up the old pavement or the old asphalt. This is asphalt, and I believe they go down maybe 6 inches.
Okay,
6 inches. Then they just pave it over. The whole street doesn't need to be done from curb to curb.
Right. Just problem areas. The
problem areas. Maybe one side is much worse than the other side of the street.
Yeah.
So you mill and pave that, or just mill and pave it all. Okay? But we're talking about cost here, of course.
Yes.
And the beauty of a mill and pave is that the homeowners are not assessed.
Oh,
Where they are assessed on a total street reconstruction.
of course.
Not all homeowners, but most of the neighborhood streets that have been done these last few years, the homeowners have been charged thousands and thousands of dollars
Mm-hmm.
in special assessments.
Okay.
That goes onto their property taxes when their property taxes are
Yeah.
paid to have their streets fixed.
Mm-hmm.
And again, why should they be punished, penalized, and have to pay that amount of money
Mm-hmm.
when it wasn't their fault to begin with? It's the years of neglect
Yeah, absolutely.
on again, past and present city officials and the decisions they made
Mm-hmm.
to allow these streets to become in the condition that they are.
Yeah, it was always kind of a, let's work on it tomorrow. And eventually, it got bad. I think of South Street, for example. All those people up and down that road that when they redid that, I'm sure they were assessed. But is it their fault that Al Rowe Steel is hauling giant heavy trucks up and down the road?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Al Rowe was assessed as well. I'm sure they were. But again, I mean, my little car isn't tearing up the road like all those semis coming up and down the road.
And I felt bad for those who live on North Elm Street.
Okay.
Same situation.
Oh, yeah.
With the heavy truck traffic
Yeah.
that comes off of 94 or goes on to 94.
And those ridiculous roundabouts.
And they go down North Elm Street, of course,
Yeah.
to get to 94. And those homeowners were assessed thousands and thousands of
Imagine.
dollars.
I used to live on
Yeah, that's
Orange right off of Elm there. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I rented, so I don't specifically remember, obviously, any taxes, but I didn't know that rent was going up. So, I mean,
Right.
that probably means the taxes were going up.
Right. Which is?
Awesome. Awesome.
Yes, it is.
Double awesome.
That's a double awesome. Then when your taxes go up that much, well, it's awesome for somebody, but it's not awesome for the
No.
homeowners.
No.
Now, what has happened lately with our Jackson City Council is they are the ones who vote to have these streets fixed,
Uh-huh.
okay? Whether it's a total street reconstruction, water lines,
Right.
water mains, okay, which we're going through a lot of water main replacements right now
Mhm.
in the city.
Right across, well,
Mhm.
where are we at? Over there.
Right.
Over by my place. There's, what street is that? They're working on two of them right there in front of,
Pearl, Columbus,
yeah, right. Well, not Pearl.
Plymouth,
Well,
Plymouth.
all of those on that side. But I'm talking
Yes.
about this is off on
North Perrine.
what's the road? It curves around right. It goes up to East Street. Goes in front of the factory there. Not Certainty, the other one. Anyways,
Well, that's East Street.
East Street. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that one. There's two giant holes, and they've been there for a month.
Yes.
Where they were working for a couple days, but now there's
Right.
just two giant holes.
Right, right. What's interesting now, though, is with the Jackson City Council, when they do have a street that comes up for a hearing to be done, that's the chance where the property owner, the homeowner, the resident of that street
Right.
can go in front of City Council and voice their opposition or if they favor the street being done.
Right.
Most of them, the vast majority of those who do speak in front of City Council or send in correspondence to the city clerk
Mm-hmm.
are voicing their opinions in opposition to the amount of assessments that
Oh,
are
I
being
imagine.
assessed.
We can't afford it. I mean,
No,
it's
they
getting
can't.
out of control.
So a few of the streets, in fact, the streets that are being done that we just talked about, that we just mentioned, Cooper to Michigan to Pearl to Columbus,
Yep.
Plymouth Street, MLK Junior Drive,
Yep.
Junior Drive, that's a whole nother story. But these streets over here on the northeast
Yeah.
side of town, pretty much in the new health district.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Right. Yep, that's what they've
They've
termed this area now as the health district.
Well, Henry Ford owns pretty much every other building around here, so.
So the city council came up to a city council vote on the assessment roll
Okay.
for these streets to be done. City council voted them down. There was
Really?
maybe a couple, three, not sure how many, but it's the streets that are being currently done.
Okay.
So the city council voted not to assess those property owners, those
Okay.
homeowners on these streets
All right.
to have their streets pretty much total street reconstruction. Now there's water mains involved,
Yeah.
okay? So the city manager decided we're going to do it anyways.
It's going to cost. It's going to cost the homeowners anyway. I mean, they can say they're not going to assess them. That's fine, but I mean, it's at the end of the
Well-
day, it's going to come out of taxpayer somewhere.
It comes out of the local street funds,
Yeah.
okay? With the water mains being replaced, I'm sure there's a kitty for that also,
Yeah.
okay? Called our water enterprise fund.
Right.
We have a sewer enterprise fund. We have a water enterprise fund.
Mm-hmm.
That's these big funds right out of City Hall.
Right.
So they will help fund these street projects.
Mm-hmm.
But no, the property owners will not be assessed a dime. So, is precedent being set with this?
Government's weird.
Now, when they come up for an assessment roll for street reconstruction, street construction on another street, whether it be east side, west side, north side, south side, and this is a neighborhood street. Again, the residents, the homeowners will have a chance to go in front of the property owners, homeowners, residents will have a chance to go in front of city council and voice their opinion as to whether they want this done.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the time, again, the vast majority say, no, it's too expensive. I can't afford it.
Right.
Now, will city council vote to not assess those individuals?
It's up to the city council. I mean,
It is.
so-
It is. It's up to the city council.
Right.
Now, there's another caveat here. If over 50% of the property owners of that certain street sign a petition
Uh-huh.
stating that they don't want this street construction project to move forward, mostly, of course, due to the high assessments,
Typically, yeah.
then the city council, it goes to a vote to the city council, and they have voted each one down because they're listening to those property owners
Okay.
of that certain street.
Well, I mean, that's hopeful.
It is hopeful.
I mean,
So that's going to probably happen from now until who knows when.
right.
Okay? So with that taking place now, and again, a street project comes up for a vote, the assessment roll, the property owners say nay, they don't want it
Mm-hmm.
because of its cost. City council will vote not to move forward with that street construction.
Right.
Will the city manager step in and say, we've got this, like they did with these streets that are being done currently at no assessment cost to the property owners?
I'm real torn on the whole concept of it. I mean, I'm all about 50% or more of the people in the street don't want their street done, then let's not do their street.
Well, they
But-
want it done, they just can't afford to have it done.
Right, and I mean, like I said, the assessment, like I think it's short-sighted because they think, okay, well, it's cool, the city's going to take care of it for us. Well, I mean, we're still paying for it in the long run. I mean, somebody's paying for it. I mean,
We are.
Yeah.
And we're paying, again, they collect and put into that local street fund so many dollars, okay?
Right.
Same with the sewer fund, those enterprise funds, though, they collect just off of our bills, our sewer and
Right,
water
right,
bills.
right.
And they go into those separate kitties, whether it's the sewer or whether it's the water enterprise fund.
Right.
Then there's a local street fund. That's all that City Hall has to pay to have this work done, are out of those funds.
Mm.
We're not eligible for state funding. We're not eligible for any federal funding
Okay.
for a local street.
That was
We're-
my next question, so I'm
Right.
glad you went there.
We're just, they just have those certain pots of money that
Mhm.
come out of City Hall to pay for this street reconstruction, street construction, mill and pave.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying, rather than wait for these streets to deteriorate any more than they already are,
Jeez. I don't know if they can anymore. Driving around on Hup Street.
take them down to gravel.
Yeah, driving around on Hup Street on those bricks.
Yeah, so anyway.
Actually, that's
Right.
that road is way more pleasurable to drive down than most of the roads.
Yeah. So what I said 2 years ago, 4 years ago was just do some mill and paves.
Yeah.
Mill and paves. Now, if you have to go back in 3 or 4 or 5 years to replace lead service water lines, well, those residents had 3 or 4 or 5 years of driving on a much, much better street.
And prepare for it as well, you know.
Right.
Okay.
And, now you have all these lead service lines that are being replaced, 11,000 and how many years that they have to do it. And they're making gains on it. But
Right.
11,000 is a lot of lead service lines to be replaced, mostly in these older neighborhoods of the city. But you just can't wait to go into that section of the city, down that street, to replace that water line, because who knows when it's going to be replaced.
Oh, yeah.
So in the meantime, get out that miller, mill that street, take it down 6 inches of that asphalt, and lay down 6 inches of new asphalt.
Yeah.
And those residents, especially the homeowners who won't have to pay for the assessments, will be much, much appreciative of that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, anyone that drives on that road, that's saving their tires or their suspension, their vehicles in general.
That should be the biggest priority coming out of City Hall.
I think
is
agree.
our mill and paves.
Yeah.
Because we can't wait to have the street totally done.
Yeah.
Okay, because the city can't afford that.
Mm-hmm.
The homeowners, the property owners cannot afford it. So let's just mill and pave. Now,
Yeah,
it sounds that simple.
What's the price difference between obviously it's significant, but how significant are we talking between a mill and pave and a full redo?
Much.
I figured it was
less.
pretty
extensive.
extensive.
Yes, you can go with square footage.
Right.
However else they may measure it,
Mm-hmm.
but it's the cost is minimal compared to a total street reconstruction.
That's what I assumed.
And again, it's something that the city should have already been doing, and they have done it in spots.
Right.
I'm just going to give one example, 2 examples. Elmwood Avenue,
What?
over on the west side of the city,
Yeah.
between Wisner and Brown Street. No, excuse me, just between 1 block, I think. No, 2 blocks. Wisner to Durand Street.
Okay.
They paved over a certain area.
All right.
And this was 4 years ago,
Okay.
and it was very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Now it's starting to crumble a little bit, but that was 4 years of better driving
Right.
than what we had before. And again, I'm not sure how long mill and pave will last, but I believe it's at least 4 to 5 years.
Yeah, I think that's what they did on my grandmother's road in Leone Township, Flansburgh, right there off of South Street.
Mm-hmm.
That road was so bad. I grew up on that road, and I watched it deteriorate over the years. And I think Commissioner Kennedy was a driving force for that as well when they did South Street, and or eventually did South Street. That road is very nice now. It's starting to crumble, but it's about 4 or 5 years.
Sure.
And but it's better than having. There was literally a pothole.
Oh, I remember it.
4 or 5 inches deep.
Right.
Easy, like
Right.
breaking ankle kind of potholes.
Mm-hmm.
Let alone a tie rod. Ooh.
Yeah. Every unit of local government, throughout the county should have focused on this years ago.
Right.
And of course, there's been a few townships that have voted themselves very large assessments to have their neighborhood
Mm-hmm.
streets done. Summit Township being one, Spring Arbor being another one.
Okay.
And they did. They had their streets, neighborhood streets,
Right.
mill and paved.
Right.
Mill and paved. And they are very, very nice. But it's also very, very costly to the homeowners. That's a whole different animal than what you're dealing with in the city.
Mm-hmm.
We have many, many more of our residents who rent
Right.
rather than own property.
Absolutely.
And it's only those who own the property who pay for it.
Oh yeah.
Now you can say, of course, the renters, well, their rent will get jacked up because the landlord has to pay more. Well, that's easier said than done.
Eventually, yeah. If you're under a 2-year lease, in 2 years you might see an increase. But
And again, then you'll hear all the cries about, well, they jacked my rent up 50% or 25%.
Uh-huh.
Well, that's to cover the landlord's cost of the streets being done. So that isn't always an easy fix either, because you don't want to make it too unaffordable for your tenants.
Mm. Well, and that's the problem too, is that I the inflation of rent because of taxes or for whatever reason isn't correlating with wages. I mean, that's a whole different problem we're having, but that's the reason why. Well, I can't afford this place anymore because it's $1,100 a month. It used to be $700.
Mm-hmm.
My wage didn't go up, but my rent went up.
Well, your wage could have gone up, but like you said, not
maybe
to
if
that
I got my
amount.
my bachelor degree.
But your BA, right?
Yeah.
Yes, but again, the landlords, and I'm a landlord.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I only have one property now in the city. I
Yep.
have another one outside of the county, but I have one in the city left, and I know how it is.
Mm-hmm.
I paid an assessment cost, and I'm on a corner.
Oh.
And my rental house is on a corner, single family home, and beautiful home, but it's on a corner.
Right.
And they mill and paved.
Mm-hmm.
They did some other work, curb work and so forth, on one of my cross streets, and I was assessed a few $1,000s for that.
Oh yeah.
And again, was I able to turn around and raise the rent? No, I didn't.
Right. Well,
I
that's
didn't.
very nice.
That's just, I'm a nice guy.
Apparently.
Yeah.
my family's owned rentals my entire life,
Yeah.
One way or another, and the nightmare that the city had put them through. Because we also owned rentals outside of the city.
Right.
Not nearly as rough to live, but
Yeah.
anything in the city, man, those between the assessments and the inspections and so on and so on and so on. I remember
then you're just your
my
general
dad pulling his hair out thinking about it.
your general property taxes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's on top of what you already got to pay.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Right. All right, Kevin. Well, good discussion.
I think so.
Awesome!
All right. An awesome discussion.
Yeah.
So anyways, in a couple weeks, whatever date that may be.
That would be what's the date? This is my 4th. Oh, we'll be into May by then.
Isn't that something? Wow.
Yeah, crazy.
Great.
It's going fast.
Yeah. Well, it feels like we're in July right now out there.
It's warm out. I don't do well in the heat, so.
Yeah. So, upcoming agendas with the city.
Yes.
I don't have anything with the county, and I looked today on the city website, and they're usually very, very good with providing us with the agendas on their website. And boy, they've come a long way. Government has. I mean, where you can just go and look at an agenda, the whole packet, and then a couple more clicks, you're getting into the weeds of it all.
Yeah.
So there's, for those of us who almost just do it, and I do it on a regular basis, and there's a reason why, because I like to stay informed.
Yeah.
And I know not everyone can do that or even wants to do it.
It's a thing. It's more of a want than a can.
Right.
It only takes a second, but
those who don't, and maybe watching us today,
hopefully
we'll provide that information for them.
Yeah.
So April 29th is when the Jackson City Council meets.
Okay.
And they will be holding their first hearing on the proposed drinking water revolving fund.
Mm-hmm.
And
people are fired up about this.
This is a planning document for drinking water improvements. Okay. It's been a little bit reported so far with local media, but what local media has left out, but it's in the packet.
It's in the packet.
It's in the packet. And you have to dig far enough into a few pages, and there it is. Well, included with this proposed drinking water state revolving fund is a $20 quarterly increase for residential water bills.
Okay, $80 a year.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It'd be $80 a year, $20 quarterly. That doesn't include all the water rate increases that we've had the last few years. This would just be a straight up $20 increase that we will see on our quarterly water bills.
Okay.
If City Council passes this proposal. Now, again, it's a hearing where the residents can citizens of the city of Jackson can go in front of city council and voice their opinion on it. There's already many who cannot afford their water bills today.
Yeah.
Another $20 quarterly, that's a big chunk.
I agree. I paid a water bill for years, and actually to the point where I forgot to tell them I didn't live there anymore, and I paid someone's water for a few more years. And I remember looking at the bill, I'm like, where is this money going? And I was like, oh, okay.
Right. Well, that's one thing that will be on the agenda. They don't have the agenda packet out as of yet, but that I know will be on the agenda.
And what date is that again?
That's April 29th.
April 29th, okay. Yeah, we'll be back the week after that, which is May 8th. I just looked that up.
And again, this is the first hearing. They have 2 hearings, and then they'll vote whether to pass a resolution favoring this increase. Now, there's also, other things involved with this, such as equipment replacement, equipment maintenance, and so forth.
Right.
But the $20 water rate increase is a biggie. And that's not a water rate increase. It's just a straight up.
Yeah, on top of any water rate increase.
Yes, it's a $20 quarterly increase for your water bills.
That's hefty.
Right. Now, maybe city council will bring that down a little bit. Maybe they'll take it totally off.
Right.
We've already paid enough in the last few years with increased water rates, and I don't see any reason why they should once again increase any more the amount that we already pay for our water bills. So hopefully city council will listen to the residents, the citizens, and say enough is enough.
Yeah, I mean,
we can move forward with this plan, but we'll take off this $20 increase.
Yeah, I mean, I understand you got to run it like a business. It costs money to make money, but when does it end?
Right. All right, Kevin, sir, Mr. Kevin.
Mr. Wilson.
So we'll do. I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, May 8th we'll be back. Guys, make sure you follow this channel, like this video. Everything will be up on YouTube probably tonight. Just having some issues with the live with YouTube. It happens. And other than that, check out our Facebook. Facebook.com/HitsHomeJackson. Yeah.
All right.
Anything else today?
Nope, that's all.
All right. Well, guys, check us out in a couple weeks. May 8th we'll be back, and we'll probably have an update on that water.
Yes, we will.
The water situation. So
and we'll have plenty more to talk about.
We'll always do. All right, guys. Have a great one, and I will see you guys next time.
All right. How'd it go?
Productions is proud to present your new favorite podcast, Hits Home Jackson, with your host, John Wilson.